Hello and welcome to another episode of Be the Love to Awaken Our Souls. I'm Stacy Musial.
And I am Brenda Carey. We are your co-hosts and souls on the journey, and we invite you to be a part of the Be the Love tribe in support of your spiritual growth and transformation to come home to your divine self. Let's raise our vibration to love.
Yes, to love. And so before we begin, let's just take a moment and get settled in with an opening intention and meditation. Connect to our breath, breathing in and breathing out, and just breathing in that love for ourselves, so we can truly breathe that love outward. And as we breathe that love in, imagine that breath moving into all of your cells and organs and systems, and just giving those places in your body just a little love, a little acknowledgement. I see you. I see you. I see you. How often do we take time throughout our day to really tap into being able to see ourselves in this moment, in each moment and day throughout our lives, we rush and we forget to really tune in. We're distracted. And now is the time, the invitation to turn that love and that attention inward and just breathing in that connection with each part of our bodies, each part of our mind, and each part of our soul, and just allowing it to just permeate and just resonate within our bodies and emanating outward as we first put our own oxygen mask on first and just allow the connection with ourselves then truly emanate outward. And so I want to invite you to continue in taking that with you throughout your day as we move into today's beautiful conversation that I am so looking forward to. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and hope you enjoyed as much as we do. Mm,
Mm. So it is. Thank you, Stacy.
mm,
And I really look forward to this conversation before we hit the record button. We started talking about, we're into the new year. It's 2024 as of this recording, and we've had different experiences. And we've also noticed these I'm going to call it sickness or illness experiences, whether they're our own personal stories or the people around us that seem to be lingering on. I mean, yes, there's the, seasonal flu or seasonal sickness that tends to come around this time of year. And we're also going to look at what does that mean on a deeper level. Now, let me start with a little disclaimer. By no means is this medical advice. So Stacy and I are not medical doctors. We're not speaking from that place, but we're going to be sharing our stories and experiences and really looking into what can be some of the spiritual lessons of when we are struggling with illness. And that could be the seasonal flu. That could be something a little bit more chronic, like autoimmune conditions or something along those lines where it just keeps lingering on. And what can we learn about ourselves? What can we learn as a collective as we're coming into this new year? And you might feel like you are like trying to move forward into this year or trying to make this, the visionary year that you wanted to, but then you get sick or, somebody else gets sick. Like my kids got really sick over Christmas. And so we might be caretaking for someone who's sick. So we're going to look into and deep dive into, okay, when Western medicine may not be serving us in the full capacity that we would like, what are some other options and what are some of the spiritual meanings that we can turn inward to create, wellness on all levels, body, mind, and spirit.
Hmm. I really love this conversation because, it's such a, beautiful invitation, when we have been, um, our bodies, are talking to us, right? And our bodies, like if they send us it usually starts out at this subtle level and it starts to be subtle. And then it's like this loud bang that, okay, now we really have to pay attention. What is this, right? And that might be, um, well, for my personal example and most recent, over the holidays, I got really sick and, I was not getting better and it was lingering for weeks. And then finally I decided to go, well, I had some blood work done and I was I learned that I was having an autoimmune flare, and I hadn't had one of these in years. And so it was like, oh, this is like, of course, this makes so much sense. And so, my body just wasn't healing, and I was tired all the time, and but I wasn't really listening to that because I was like, I was trying to, do my daily activities of working and, trying to keep it all afloat. And then finally, I got this. Um, I personally don't want to, you know, I don't want to assign a label to myself.
Sure.
But I do want to recognize that, my body was having this flare up. And so, but what I know, I went to the Western doctor, and I said, I'm not healing. I was like, my throat is hurting. And I was like, I really wanted to rule out anything else like strep or COVID or, anything. And so, and I had already taken a COVID test and I was negative, so I knew it wasn't that. But I did, um, I did go and want to rule this out. And so, without um, doing much of an examination, the doctor said, "I'd like to prescribe you antibiotics and these prednisone steroids, both which I know are very, very harmful to the gut lining and the bacteria. And yes, I believe that they are there to serve a purpose when necessary. But I really had to take this information and listen to my own intuition. This is before I had the knowledge of my blood work and or what I should do with it. Because I think I did have the knowledge of my blood work. I just wasn't sure how to proceed with it in that moment because I was still having these cold symptoms. And so I was like, well, one is creating the other. So I had to really discern, do I go that Western route? Do I take these antibiotics, and these steroids, both which I know will not help my immune system? And so it didn't feel right. So I went home and I talked to another practitioner that really understands the whole body healing, and I started this another gut healing protocol because I had had some gluten over the holidays mixed with stress, and I haven't done gluten in years because it's has been very harmful to this autoimmunity stuff, and so it really impacted me quite a bit. And so, but I had to discern. I was like, which one, do I have to listen to? What is my body needing? And so I decided to opt out of the antibiotics and the steroids because it's not something I want to put in my body unless absolutely necessary. And so I discerned and I said, okay, I'm going to go with this other, the natural healing. And I have like turned a corner. My brain fog has lifted. My energy is probably 80%, 90% back to where it was. And I'm just starting to feel just so much better. But if I had gone that other route, I might have been having a different conversation. I don't know. But
Hmm.
it was really coming back to what was right for me and how that really, how I needed to intuitively be guided into what was right for me.
I love that whole story. It kind of like walked us through the issues of, Western medicine versus maybe a more holistic or alternative point of view. There's two things that pop up for me. The one is I love how you said I'm not going to get attached to the label of my either autoimmune condition or the cold symptoms. I think that's huge because if I mean for myself and I know also for clients, we tend to really identify with the diagnoses. And yes, our brain really wants to have answers and they wants to know like, okay, what do I have? What's going on? How do I fix it? And we get really like honed in on that. But when we really fixate on like for me, it was like my digestive issues or my back pain, that my like attaches to that label. And then we become very attached to whatever illness that a doctor or another practitioner has given us. So I think holding those labels and those diagnoses loosely so that we are open, this is the spiritual side, so we are open to all possibilities of how to heal. And I definitely think there's a place for Western medicine. I think sometimes there's this friction between spirituality and Western medicine. Like someone's not spiritual enough if they have to use Western medicine prescriptions. I don't necessarily believe that at all. I think we need to explore both sides of Western medicine can really be, it can really serve someone's health and they may really need it. Hopefully only for a short period of time, because like you said, some of those drugs like steroids, long-term use of antibiotics, it has unfortunately really poor side effects, not only on the gut, sometimes also on neurological function as well. So just taking into consideration, like what are the side effects? I always ask questions. I didn't used to, but now when I do go to a Western doctor, and recently I did to check my ears because I'm having ear pressure. So I haven't had the typical like seasonal flu issues, but I've been having a lot of head pressure, which stems from the back of my ears. So I thought, oh, it's got to be my ears are clogged. Well, that's not the case. And so I was asking again, I was also prescribed for my sinuses and ears, same thing, antibiotics and prednisone, and started just asking questions. I'm like, okay, I don't have the best history of those two drugs due to, previous gut issues. And the doctor was open about, well, let's do some other, let's do a CAT scan and let's really see what's going on first before diving into, Western medicine drugs, which I'm not totally opposed to. But like you, Stacy, I would prefer a more alternative, either homeopathic approach. That just suits my constitution better, especially for those of you, especially listeners, if you are like hypersensitive and if you're highly empathic, sometimes Western medicine drugs can be really overpowering to our more delicate immune system.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, as we are discerning and we're, what is the best approach for us, it's also, learning to tune inward
Hmm.
and to connect with, what is the lesson and the gift here of being, in this sickness, and our bodies aren't maybe they're not operating the way that we would like to. Our mind has all these other ideas of what it wants to do, and then bam, like we're really forced to go within. And so, oftentimes I believe like, most of the time there's a spiritual reason,
Absolutely.
why we're, our bodies are, showing us, this these symptoms and what we're supposed to be doing with it and how we can heal. And for me, it's I really had to take time to slow down and really start to um, you know, deepen. I mean, I thought I had a connection with myself before, but I was wrong. I was like, no, I need deep in my connection with myself on such a deeper level than the mind was at the time, so busy focused on what it wants to create and what it wants to do. And I was like, I get excited and all that. But I was like, no, I have to like really like deepen my connection with myself and so that was for me the spiritual lesson to really find space for myself
Mm,
um, in a time where I was really giving a lot to others and a lot of my energy, a lot of my time, a lot of my, you know, um, just a lot. And so
yeah.
there was that outward outpour, because I had a lot of things shift for me, a lot of changes in my life. In the last few months of 2023 that bam like I had to balance it back out and it wasn't balanced for me in the way that I was able to balance it before, but it really just again allowed me to deepen my connection with myself, be more present and find space for me. But I think it's really surrendering to the messages, surrendering to
Absolutely.
what the lesson is, right? And not fighting against what is, not fighting against, oh, I don't want to be sick, right? In this moment, we're not maybe not in control, right? And so surrendering to that and okay, what is this here to teach me? And how can I really surrender to the messages of it and really take those messages in on a deeper level? Because that's how we're going to learn, and that's how we truly heal from how this has manifested in the first place.
Mm, so true. I mean, it's the messages that we get are the gift. I love how you say the gift and the opportunity that come from I mean, physical struggle, mental, emotional struggle, but when we can really place our opinions aside about, sickness is bad. I don't want to get sick. I don't want to have another flare up. If we're speaking that way, it's kind of this self-fulfilling prophecy. And so just being curious, like that's how I've been treating my own self-talk when I've been noticing this head and sinus pressure more often because I am doing my like usual protocols and they don't seem to really be working. So instead of me going, oh my gosh, and getting all into despair and what am I going to do and how long is this going to last? That's the old Brenda. Old Brenda would be going down that, that thought pattern. But now it's like, okay, I guess this is an opportunity to up level and learn something new and to grow my holistic tools. The ones that I've used for years and years, some of them just aren't quite working as well as they used to. What's the opportunity in that? What's the new messages that I get to receive? And for me, the spiritual emotional side, it's kind of a mixed bag for me of this head pressure is I've recognized, and this has been at least for the last few months, but it's probably a chronic pattern. I tend to overthink things and get into like this analysis paralysis. I know I'm not the only one. This is a mental habit pattern that I've had for probably my whole life. And I think now Spirit is saying, okay, it's time to address this now. It's time to really trust your intuition. I know I say I trust my intuition, and I do. I've grown in that area. And then here's a whole, like you said, we're digging deeper and it's getting to a new level of trusting intuition, of, releasing the overthinking, over chattery mind with possibly new holistic tools that I truly feel will be presented to me in the time that I need or the person with the, right information that I need. I trust in that. And I think that can really be the beauty of going through the sickness and struggles.
Absolutely. I think there's like, this purging process that needs to happen, right? And we have to allow the body and the spiritual, bodies and the emotional bodies to really purge. And that's what it's felt like for me is, allowing this purge of what was no longer serving me because then I was just going through this physical release and emotional release. I had, I was allowing myself to like what was at the depths of this, the feelings, and allowing that just to pour out. And so, really, tapping in what is coming up, right? And sometimes it's getting below those deeper levels, or even the levels that, might feel like it's unknown and there's a stuck energy. And so what's under that stuck energy, and tuning into that stuck energy, because there's something juicy in there that helps to like, really move and purge that emotional energy that is continuing to be in those same patterns that we've been in for, maybe a lifetime. It's a maybe a survival tactic. For me, it was like, I went into this survival mode when I was,
Mm.
24 years old, and I was a single mom, and I had to take care of, everything. And I had to go to work and, take care of this child, and put myself through school. And so I went into survival mode of like work, work, work. And so that part of that pattern stayed with me even after he was all grown up and everything. But I think because he also came back, my son's living with me now again. And so I think I was just maybe, my body remembered, what that was like. And I went into those maybe old patterns of taking care, and so then, but I love it because like, I feel like, if we truly, truly listen and allow the process to unfold the way it needs to, we are learning and releasing lessons on such a deeper level so much quicker now than ever before. There's a quickening in our planetary systems, and we've got all these solar flares, and it's moving this energy that once may have lasted more than a lifetime, but now it's like, if we're open and aware of that, it'll help us move through these so much quicker. And sometimes it has to get worse before it gets better.
So
So,
true.
so we have to like allow that process and just be open to it, because I feel like I'm on the other side of it, and now I'm starting to feel like, oh, now I can like truly, truly step in and start to connect with the vision I want to create for this new year. But I had to go through that process in order to get where I am right now, and feel good again. And yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a journey though,
It
right?
is. It is a process. And unfortunately, when we're stuck in it, it's like tunnel vision. And there are times where I'm like, oh my gosh, especially if it's chronic. When I had my chronic gut autoimmune issues, I was like, when is this going to end? Like it went on for years. So if you're a listener out there and you're like, I don't have just the seasonal flu, I've had maybe this condition for years upon years, just know and take in our stories, know that your body knows how to heal. It really does. Sometimes it's just given that overthinking mind the back seat, being more open to possibility, detaching from the diagnosis label. And as we wrap up here, I'm just going to send us out with a really short body wisdom meditation. You don't have to close your eyes or anything, but we're just going to kind of seal this sacred container that we've been talking about to tap into your own discernment and to ask for the spiritual wisdom that may be contained in whatever sickness, illness you might be going through right now. So I invite you to, if it's possible, place a hand on the area of your body that you feel needs healing. And so, like if it's your digestive issues, put on your gut. If it's something more emotional, place it on your heart. It could be more symbolic. And as you just breathe deep, breathe energy into that area, feel pulsating healing light come into that area of your body or heal the mind. And know that you are a miracle. Your body has the natural ability to heal. And yes, you might need assistance whether that's medicine or certain modalities or protocols, but those will easily flow to you when you are open to the possibility that I am healed. It is already done. See it in your mind. Feel it in your body. You are healed. It is done. It is done. It is done. And take one
Mm.
more really deep breath in. Send it on out into the world with love and light. And we thank you so much for listening to Be the Love podcast. Find a spiritual home with us and let's connect on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. We always appreciate a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. And we have a quick shout out. Thank you so much to Laura Stern. She is our 100th YouTube subscriber. And I think we're at I know, woohoo. So if you want to help support us, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Yes, we're on all the major podcast platforms and we are also on YouTube. Comment, like, click notifications so that you don't miss any of our weekly episodes. And I'm Brenda Carey, and as a holistic healer, I offer coaching and online programs to guide people in their sacred path to vibrant health. And my website is sacredpathyogaandreiki.com.
And I'm Stacy Musial. I'm a psychotherapist specializing in whole person, deep soul healing. And you can find out about my work, my book, and programs at awakenyouремpoweredsoul.com. You can check out our links in the show notes. And stay tuned for more episodes being released on Mondays at 5:55 a.m. Mountain Time.